Dame, and I think he leaned into that. He takes on the persona of the bad guy of the group, the one that's willing to do the dirty, to get his hands dirty.
I'm gonna go into the label and I'm gonna make sure
I'm gonna get my hands dirty and make these moves because I'm that dude and I'm from Harlem. Did I mention I'm from Harlem? Dame, and I think he leaned into that. He takes on the persona of the bad guy of the group, the one that's willing to do the dirty, to get his hands dirty.
I'm gonna go into the label and I'm gonna make sure
I'm gonna get my hands dirty and make these moves because I'm that dude and I'm from Harlem. Did I mention I'm from Harlem? Greetings and welcome to another episode of Q Points Podcast. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. What's happening, good people? Sir Daniel, how you doing?
You know what? I'm fantastic. It's been an amazing week. Jay-Z has had an amazing week. Well, I don't know about amazing. It's been mostly amazing, specifically for New Yorkers and Jay-Z fans, specifically after his amazing appearance at Yankee Stadium.
Right? Mm-hmm.
And of course, it wouldn't be a good hip hop show if it wasn't fraught with difficulties and shenanigans and whatnot. I do think one of the main things that came out of this concert series that Jay had to celebrate Reasonable Doubt in his career and just to celebrate himself is the fact that despite having a packed arena for all three nights, having his wife, who is a mega superstar, be in the show, his daughter participated in the show. He had a plethora of artists that love and respect him mutually come through and be on the show. There's that one guy, that one gloomy Gus, that one Grampy Grandpa, Chatty Patty.
Definitely a Chatty Patty.
A Chatty Patty propping himself up in front of somebody's camera to make disparaging comments about Blue Ivy and having her in the show, and that's ghetto, and I pay for my kids not to be in a part of street life, and to say that it is cringe to have your wife, your girl, not even your wife,
your girl.
Why you got your girl cutting your hair? Man, that's cringe. Why you got your girl doing that? Pause. He is he's working himself up to be, well, he already is like the poster boy for a hater.
Yeah, basically. And when you reflect on it, it could have all been so different. Like, it didn't have to look like this, because when you look at the trajectory of Jay and when you looked at the trajectory of Kareem, Dame could have had a different trajectory of his career, because there's clearly something there that he has a talent for. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, because I don't know that we can always pinpoint it based on all of the foolishness around him. So this could have been very different. So it's definitely a weird time. But so we wanted to spend some time at the beginning of this show, y'all, just kind of talking a bit about Dame Dash. I want to do a quick history of his career, and then Sir Daniel and I want to reflect on kind of what he represents and just do some other kind of conversation. But
this is a cautionary tale.
This is a cautionary tale. And I think this starts at the beginnings. I made my notes on Dame Dash. I wanted to make sure that I share. We know him from Harlem, lifelong entrepreneur, hustler is the term that is most often applied to him. And I think that colors all the things that has happened to him at his highest high and his lowest low, because I think there's like a plus and a minus to that mentality, right? But anyway, co-founder of Roc-A-Fella Records, co-founder of Roc-A-Wear. There's some other businesses in there, but those are the two that we really know. Big thing with Dame is, of course, in the mid 90s, it's a famous tale of it's 94. Jay-Z is trying to get signed. We first see Jay-Z in the Jazzo video for the Originators in 1990. It's 4 years later. Jay-Z has grown up. He's trying to get a deal. He can't get a deal. So him and his boys decide they are going to start a record label because they are entrepreneurial, and that record label is Roc-A-Fella. And of course, it becomes a major deal because, of course, 2 years later, Jay's Reasonable Doubt comes out, and really ushers us into the Jay-Z era. That's why Jay had the show at Yankee Stadium. He's celebrating 30 years of Jay-Z, and Reasonable Doubt. So through that run, I will say this. Early in Jay-Z's career, and I don't know if this is true for you, Sir Daniel, I didn't really have a line on Dame. Like he wasn't as visible of a character in the Roc-A-Fella, the external facing world.
Right.
Definitely saw Jay. You definitely saw like Emil. Like you saw the artists more. But as Roc-A-Fella's profile rised, Dame emerges as his own character, and I say that very purposefully, in the Roc-A-Fella story, because I distinctly remember that Big Pimpin' video and Dame Dash and the champagne bottles and all of that stuff. And I'm like, I never remembered him as that guy before. And all of a sudden he's his own character in the rise of Roc-A-Fella. Am I misremembering that? Was Dame like a big figure before then publicly?
I think you're on point. I do believe that Dame witnessed what it could mean to be second fiddle, wingman to next to the man who is the man.
Yeah.
And he took a cue and took a page out of Diddy's playbook of being the flashy one, the opulent one, the fly guy on the side who's not on the mic, but he's making moves. Right. And so being from Harlem, I do think if you talk to anybody who's from Harlem, especially that comes from the golden era, they'll tell you, we from Harlem, we hustlers. And so that's their claim to fame, is that we're making moves, we're constantly making moves, and we have a lot of mouth, and we have a lot of, we talk a good game. And so I think you're absolutely right. Dame adapted this persona of the wingman, but the one making moves, because he had the brick phone and everything back in. He was always on the phone and doing things. And then of course, when to your point, when the champagne started flowing, Dame also became known as the guy, the dice shaking, dance guy, and that became his claim to fame as well. What I did notice about him, or what I always picked up energy, is there was just something not endearing about him. There was no warm fuzzies, as much as a warm fuzzy you can get from a Harlem hustler, hardcore rap artist in the 90s coming up, as much as you can do that. But we all know that in this industry, in the recording arts, and being a celebrity in the recording arts is that there has to be a little bit of likability to you, especially
Yes.
if the talent is not as overwhelming as
Visible,
your
apparent.
right,
Yeah.
as your natural gravitas to people. If you don't have the gravitas, you get your talent has to be like really over the top and crazy, because then people will be more likely to be like, well, he's not really cool, but not that nice of a person, but I can't deny his talent. And so, yes, jerk is the word that is always synonymous with
Absolutely.
Dame. And I think he leaned into that. He definitely leans into that persona. And what we see is that he he takes on the persona of the bad guy
Mm-hmm.
of the group. I guess good. I don't know if you want to use cop, good cop, bad cop,
Mm-hmm.
but he definitely took on that persona of the bad guy of the crew, the one that's willing to do the dirty, to get his hands
I'm
dirty.
gonna go into the label and I'm gonna make
Yeah,
sure.
I'm gonna get my hands dirty and and make these moves because I'm that dude and I'm from Harlem. Did I mention I'm from Harlem? So so that's the persona that Dame took on, and I guess you would consider that the villain arc that he
The,
creates
he
along the
he
way.
Yeah, and so I think what's interesting about this, and I didn't think about this until I was doing the research, and when I say this to everybody, it's gonna be like mind blowing in a second. But yes, definitely loud energy, confrontational. There are so many industry stories that have been told about Dame Dash going down to Def Jam and just running amok with the people that work there. You know what I'm saying? And to that earlier point, if you are not the guy with the talent, the discernible talent,
Exactly.
and you're not likable, right? So what in the story that we've heard, and Jay has kind of hinted at this. I think he's outright said it a couple of times, but Dame becomes a liability, right? So when you're trying to rise to a certain level and you have someone who is working with you who is antagonizing the people who are helping you to make things happen, it becomes more difficult to move because they like, I don't mind working with you. I like you, but your boy is too much. He's too much. So by the time Roc-A-Fella, and this is the thing that I think we have to remember, Roc-A-Fella broke up in 2004. So Jay comes out with Reasonable Doubt in 96 independently. They're not affiliated with Def Jam yet. That is a priority distributed record.
Mm-hmm.
That short amount of time later, so that's 8 years later, they are already dissolved, like selling Roc-A-Fella to Def Jam, and the group is breaking up, right? But for us, that's 22 years ago that this situation went down. And we have watched Jay go on to do all kinds of other things unrelated to his time at Roc-A-Fella. You know what I'm saying? And to have Dame be in this situation where I feel like he is always stuck in the same time frame of life is unfortunate, and it calls into question. So a question that we have, like, what does he represent in hip hop or in black culture? Like, what do you think, Sir Daniel?
I think it's sad, but I do think that Dame kind of brings a seediness to the game, to hip hop. There's not a whole lot of positive, and the thing, and the sad part is that I'm sure that he has sat at the table and has brought many major deals or many major players to the arena of hip hop. But one could argue that those outliers have been invited in and kind of are destroying or have destroyed the art from the inside. Um, but also, he's a part of history.
Oh, no doubt.
He's definitely a part of that chunk of history. Jo talks about, he had us gave us anthems for 7 summers, for 10 summers, and it's true.
It's true.
It's very much true. However, at the same time, this gentleman that he has been associated with cannot just does not have the best reputation. What I also find interested, I'm glad Knott's mentioned the Streets is Watching video. Every rhyme that I hear Jay talk about people, about the protagonist of his rhyme, right? It's always having to watch his back against somebody that's direct in his crew.
Yep.
And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, well, that's him.
Yes.
That's who you're talking. So this whole time you've been talking about Dame, and I wonder, does Dame know that you've been talking about him the whole time in all these records like Streets is Watching and, Friend or Foe, all of those records, you're describing Dame. And it's and now in hindsight, now we're like, oh,
we can see it, but also Dame is one of those personalities. He doesn't strike me as being particularly self-aware, because if he was, some of the things that are happening now wouldn't happen. You know what I'm saying? We mentioned Diddy earlier, and I just want to underscore this really quick. I do think in Dame's psyche, he saw himself as that. And Diddy and Dame are completely different. You know what I'm saying? Diddy has a discernible talent that we could identify and we could see and we could like put our hands around. And also, up until all of the foolishness that's happened around him recently, he also had a lot of goodwill with other people at the time. I've never heard that about Dame. Yeah, he represented fun.
He absolutely represented fun.
Yeah. So, okay, one of the conversations that we had, I don't know how we're going to get into this tonight. You should hear our meetings. We go straight forward in our meetings, but was trying to figure out like what type of organism is like a Dame Dash in this universe. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
and I think we did land it. I think this is right. Go ahead.
It just came to me. I know y'all have seen those. If you've ever watched National Geographic, if you've watched any kind of nature show, and you've seen any of those shows about the predators of the sea, Jay-Z is definitely a shark. Dame Dash is what they call the Remora fish, or what is commonly known as the suckerfish. This is that organism, that fish, that attaches themselves to the apex predator of the ocean, and they float along and they get rid of the parasites that are around. They keep the parasites away, like, hey, this is my man, get away. Nah, you not fly, you not, get away from here. And they eat when they eat when the shark eats. And they're just around, and so they get a reputation like the shark, like, oh, well, you roll with the shark, so you must be that dude. So, again, we don't know this man personally. No. However, I just get the vision of him being a hanger on, and not even so much hanging on just to be hanging on. Yes, he definitely had to have brought something to the team, and to the legacy of Roc-A-Fella and to the roster of Roc-A-Fella, getting people on board and whatnot. But it is that thing where I think he realized that he is not in this arena. Everybody is always going to pay attention to the star. Yes. And he may not ever admit it, but there has to be a part of him that feels like he is a star. He'll like dudes from Harlem think they are the main character.
Yeah.
And he clearly has a severe case of main character disease.
Oh my God. I mean, no notes. I think you are when Sir Daniel said that in our meeting, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Cause let's go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. Cause like, okay, let's even take Jay out of the
Let's
situation.
talk about let's talk about the people that was on his arm.
He was always okay. So after he was arm in arm with Jay. Then after that kind of fell apart, he's arm in arm with Aaliyah. And I mean, he rode that until she passed away. He rode that relationship until he passed away because Aaliyah gave him, made him polished his image.
It was softened him up.
Softened him up, made him human. Mm-hmm. Dare I say, even likable? Because if Aaliyah likes him, then there's got to be something likable about him. Yep. And so he rode that relationship until, unfortunately, she passed away in that. Yep. Well, she died in that plane crash. Mm-hmm. And then he, shortly after that, married Rachel Roy,
yep.
who was an up and coming designer. Yep. And she, he's breaking into fashion. Mm-hmm. Here she is, a rising star in fashion, and not just in urban fashion. Mama is in major department stores, and she's got all these connections. She's the archetype of that girl that is a part of the fashion industry. And so he aligns himself with her. And then along comes this this genius from Chicago.
Yeah.
Named Kanye.
Yeah.
That who's taking the world by storm. And, all he ever wanted was a Roc-A-Fella chain. And this was the moment that did it for me, Jay. When Kanye is performing, he's performing through the wire and getting his life. And this is a very important performance. Here comes Dame in the middle of the performance to chain him, to give him his Roc-A-Fella chain. And it's like, I'm not going to make this about me, but it's also about me because I've got the chain and I want to chain you and we're going to throw up our diamonds and I'm standing next to you. And it reminds me to bring it to the present. Do y'all remember when Cardi B won her first Grammy and she was married to Offset? While this woman is going up to get her first Grammy that she earned on her own, this man took it upon himself to run up there with her. It was kind of that moment. It was that kind of moment. And it's very indicative of the persona that Dame Dash has. And he probably would never admit to it, but this is what I'm getting at from what he's shown us from over the years.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned Ye, because I actually think that Dame is closer in personality to Ye than he is to Jay, but he just don't have Ye's talent. If he had a thimble of that talent, he would be something to deal with. But I think that's the big thing. I think he's actually closer to that. So I think at the end of the day, so we're now sitting here today watching this man, watching people put microphones in his face, because apparently he'll do any podcast. If we asked him to come on, he would probably come on. We don't want him on the show.
He wouldn't, because we're not real men, because we're talking about him.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. He does need us to be. He would come on just to cuss us out. So can I finish? So unfortunately, we are sitting in this moment where people are shoving a microphone in front of this man's face to respond to things that he has nothing particularly important to say about this stuff. And it didn't have to go down like this. He could have had a different trajectory if he was different, but the career of Dame Dash is unfortunately stuck in Roc-A-Fella.
In Roc-A-Fella mode.
Yeah,
I don't know.
man.
It's unfortunate, but yeah, you just I don't know. We said at the beginning that this is a cautionary tale
Mm-hmm.
that you just don't want to be a Dame Dash. There's a creator, a Tone M. I think he's a fashion content creator, and he was talking. He said, "Be careful of the real friend who always keeps it real." And the crux of what he was saying is that be careful of those people in your life that are always jabbing
Mm-hmm.
and and they're taking their jabs at you, but they're disguising it as constructive criticism
I'm looking
and
out for
love.
you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And constructive criticism and love. And I think a lot of us have encountered or may be encountering those people in our lives now and just don't know it. And we just thought it was a very, very interesting way to look at this situation, because there is no reason for him to be propped up on somebody's camera to to continue to talk about this man and offer criticisms that nobody asked for. I think Jay is doing a good enough job of digging holes for himself on
Yes.
his own. He does not need you to point out his flaws and to take digs, because the sad part is that you might be making some good points, but nobody's going to pay attention to what you're saying, because the first thing they're going to say is, "Oh, we're not paying
We're
attention to
not
him.
paying him.
He's an
Yeah.
A1 hater."
Mm.
And it's actually quite kind of sad.
It's
He
sad.
has become a punchline. He has become, whether he wants to believe it or not, they're making fun of him, like him trying to recreate his dice dance and, you know, doing it
Him
much
getting on the mic.
slower.
He's doing a diss record, and it's
Yeah,
not
like,
good.
dude, nah, that's not P, as the young people will say. That's not very Harlem like. Don't do that. Don't do this to your to what's left of your legacy, Dame Dash. Don't do that.
Y'all are so amazing. Please definitely subscribe to our podcast. Subscribe here. Share the show with your friends, family, colleagues. If you love the show, chances are they will love the show as well. Visit our website at qpoints.com. You can do a ton of stuff over there. Catch up on our entire archive. You can become a member of Q Points by becoming a Q Points insider. Shop our store at store.qpoints.com. And last but not least, check us out on Substack, where we have some additional content. That's our newsletter. So if you like, I want to get Q Points in my email, you can get Q Points in your email every week. And we not only do Q Points, we also do music news and all kinds of other stuff. But we appreciate y'all and we love y'all.
Well, listen, like J. Ray said, we appreciate you, we love you, and like I say every week in this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you can let the record play. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is J. Ray, y'all.
And this has been Q Points Podcast, dropping the needle on Black music history. We will see you on the next go round.
Peace, y'all.